the essence of the energy lately. Whew, a lot. It's been a lot. They're facing fears and facing failures has been a huge forefront since the full moon, as well as facing communication in relationship, which there can be a lot of fears and distortion in there. And when I say in relationship, every contact, connection that you make, that you that you have in almost your day-to-day, like that's a relationship. Like you have a relationship with yourself, you can have a relationship with your vehicle, you have a relationship with your children, you have a relationship with your pets, you can have a relationship with your friends, relationship with nature. Like there's a lot of relationship that we can feel into and see where we're sitting with that, because coming to a place of understanding and acceptance in this life, in this existence, in this plane, in this matrix, whatever you want to call where we are in the current, which is really funny because that's what's kind of like, oh, so like what do you do if you fall in a river, right? Like, well, you cannot unfall in the river, you're in the river, so you can either flail about and just, flail about till you sink, or something happens, or maybe you can take a moment to take stock in between the flailings and maybe formulate a plan. So that is the changing in circumstance that you can do. Sometimes we just end up in circumstance in this life because we're supposed to, but what do you do within that circumstance and how do you feel about it really orchestrates the rest of the building blocks towards everything else. I think that's neat. Having a really good conversation earlier today. I'm segueing in case I forgot something or a piece. But anyways, I'm just super excited to share this piece that came to a person when talking to a friend today about the purpose as to why we are here, and what is the purpose, she says. And I was trying to explain about the here and the now and the current, and how exciting it is to be on the edge of everything all the time, right? Of the new or the revamped or what have you. But sometimes you can't see into that. So I was like, what about Disneyland? Because she's gone before, and I was like, do you like Disneyland? And she's like, yes. And I was like, have you gone? And she said, yes. And I was like, would you go again? And she said, heck yes. And I was like, so how many times would you go if you could go? Is there a limit to the times that you would go to Disneyland? And she said, nope, no limit. I would go there every day if I could. And I said, well, that's consciousness, that's purpose, that is the reason why we're here, whether it be some kind of good experience, bad experience, from our perspectives or whatever. The perspective of consciousness is just to observe and experience the experience as it is, and each experience through each new observer is a new and different experience. So it's kind of like repeatedly getting excited for Santa Claus, or repeatedly experiencing Disneyland. And another good image that I kind of threw out there was so say you go to Disneyland and you're excited, and Disneyland's a great place, and you go on the teacup ride because that's fun, and you get cotton candy and that's great, and you meet Mickey Mouse and that's, you're so full of so much wonder and joy. And then say your family wants to go on Splash Mountain. So some people like roller coasters and some people don't like roller coasters, and some people are kind of open to, not a big fan, but I'm open to the thrill and the experience. So Splash Mountain seems to be one of those kind of rides. But that's kind of like life, right? You have all this joyous good stuff, and then you have these pockets of, oh my God, can I handle this? Will I survive this? And then get your picture taken at the end of the ride. But Yeah, and oh, and then that kind of like rolled off. So like, not everybody likes Disneyland, right? Some people like haunted houses, and some people like hikes, but not everybody likes the same thing. But like, the hiking person's purpose really has nothing to do with the haunted house's purpose. Haunted house's person's purpose. Ha! But they might co-mingle, you know what I mean? But like, this is what I'm into, and that's what you're into, and that's great. And that's what it's all about, is just being here and experiencing everything and savoring it for all that it's worth, because it might not be here for all eternity. Well, that opened up a new channel, because change, right? Like, last little bit. Put on change. So there was a beautiful conversation between my daughter and her grandfather and myself, myself the other day, about polar bears and how they're like becoming extinct because their habitat is changing, and so they're becoming extinct, which is sad. We don't want to lose the polar bears. But I heard somewhere in the grapevine the polar bear started mating with like other bears, like grizzly bears or some kind of brown bear or something, because like polar bears were pushed down further into, I'm gonna say like Manitoba type regions, and started mating with other species of bear. So now they're creating a whole new evolved species of polar bear, right? Because it's part polar bear still, and it's part this other bear. They're just creating a new hybrid bear. And I mean, you could say the same thing about humanity in itself, in our collective, because we were very segregated in our spaces, right? And we still feel segregated in a way, but honestly, everybody's come together from this continent to this continent to this continent to this continent, and North America itself being that big, beautiful, stewing, melting pot where everybody has come together. I don't think there is a faction of life that does not exist in North America, like in some way, shape, or form. So that's going to tell you something. Kind of goes along with like a girlfriend was hanging out with some unsavory people to me sometime, and she said that one of their debates was like, people should go back to their respective places. And I said, what if you're someone like myself who is half white and half black? Where do I go? And you know, I've been raised predominantly in a white space, so like, their answer was like, well, you go where you feel most akin to, because I'm half and half. And I said, again, I was raised in a more white predominant space, so I'm still kind of like, you know, the sore thumb in the middle of it all. So like, how can we hate, how can we fight, when we're all just kind of coming together and mixing and melding? Each generation, we're producing children that are of this and of that, like the polar bear and the other bear. I want to say it's a sunshine bear, but I really think that that's a totally different bear. Yeah, but rounded out to that. Those were my thoughts today. It's been an eventful day. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful energy. Have a great day.